all of you for being here. Are we up and running on the live stream? We are. Awesome. Thank you, love streamers, for hanging out with us. And all of our classes have been archived. So if you're interested in becoming a virtual member of this community, there are 2 previous classes, and you can become a virtual member. And this next Sunday is when we will have membership, have the new members come in. And so we welcome our love streamers. And if you have any questions, how can they get their questions to us? Connect? Facebook? Yes? Oh, yeah. Awesome. Thank you. So they can post on the chat box where you're love streaming. And someone recommended that I get more comfortable. Now, I don't know how comfortable they want me to get, but I'll at least take the jacket off. I really appreciate you all investing time to come on a Sunday afternoon. And thank you for your presence. Thank you for being here. Each of you are a shining light. And today we're going to be focusing more on specifically how do we get involved in Unity and Marin? How do we get involved in service? How do we get involved in this wonderful place? Because it is a wonderful place. This place has so much great energy. I just love ministering here. People are asking me, how's it going? And I say, it's wonderful. It's amazing. It's better and better every day because it's an amazing spiritual community. And I can't say enough good stuff about it. So, but I'm going to try. So, so if we could just take a deep breath. Oh, feel the presence. You may wonder, how do I feel the presence? Well, as you take a deep breath, drop into your heart space. You may wonder, how do I do that? Just tune within. I know we have some sign-ins and things going, but if everyone could just, right at the moment, settle in. Sink into this peaceful space. Right where we are, God is. All of God is present. Let's have just a moment of silence to sink into that presence. Spirit, we give thanks for this time together. We give thanks for the investment of time. Those who are love streaming, those who are physically present, knowing we are in the presence, and that each and every one of us expresses as the presence in action. We give thanks for this, and so it is. Amen. So each one of us are called to be the presence in action, not to just experience the presence as ourselves, but to be the presence in action. And I have asked some people to be here today, and so Chris Slate will come up in a moment. And we have board members here. Any of you who are on the board, would you please stand? Here they are. In the back. They've got my back. Here's 4 of them. Robert, Sam, Pamela, and Linda are all on the board. And I have had the opportunity over the years to work with more boards than I can count of various kinds, nonprofit boards, community boards, church boards. And this particular board that I have the opportunity to work with, and I'm not putting down anybody, but I I will say this, and I've never said it before, at other Unity churches. You may think, oh, he says that at every Unity church. Check with them. This is the best board that I've ever worked with at a Unity church, best church board that I've ever worked with in any denomination. They are involved. They are not only involved, they involve themselves from a place of spirit, from a place of knowing the presence. That doesn't mean we see everything identically. You know, as Billy Graham's wife said, if Billy and I always agreed, one of us is unnecessary. Billy Graham's wife said that. And on our board, we have different perspectives and different skills and different things that we bring together, but we bring them all together and we work in a collaborative way to reveal the highest and best for this spiritual community, whether it's in regards to fundraising, whether it's in regards to how we develop our vision and our mission, whether it's in regards to our overriding strategic plan. This board is amazing. Each and every one of you brings so many skills and so many years of experience. And so I'm very grateful for the board members who have come, and there may be some board members watching online. Not all of them can always get here. You know, it depends on child care needs. It depends on various things. But I'm very grateful for those who've stepped up in the board service. And you may think about that. You may think about, oh, is that for me to do? And so you can just be holding that and see how Spirit leads you, how Spirit calls you. And I've asked Christine Slate to present to us a little bit. Christine is in charge of a number of areas, and I'll just let you speak to us and tell us what's on your heart. And yeah, thank you, Christine.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hi, love streamers. So I'm Chris Slate, and I'm head of the prayer ministry here at Unity in Marin. And way back when Myrtle and Charles started the Unity movement, they didn't start with a choir, and they didn't start in the 1800s with a tech booth. And I'm sorry, Tim, they didn't start with a minister. What did they start with? Prayer. The entire movement was started with prayer. And so everything we do here at Unity in Marin has an underpinning of prayer. And I'd like to talk to you today about some of the things that you could do as you become members of Unity in Marin, and what you can do before you even become a member to volunteer, to do what Tim was talking about today in the service, stepping up instead of just sitting back and soaking it all in. So the first thing I want to tell you about is World Day of Prayer. World Day of Prayer is always the second Thursday of September, and it was started at Unity Village. Bye, Kathy. Bye, Wendy. Just wanted to embarrass you a little. It runs out of Unity Village, and we mimic here at Unity in Marin the Unity Village model. We have a Wednesday night service, which includes a labyrinth, and we hope a talk from Reverend Tim. This is the first he's hearing about this. You can calendar it, you can save the date. Music, poems, prayer, it's just a wonderful 2-hour extended service, and then when it is over at 9 o'clock, we begin our 24-hour silent prayer vigil. We're the only one that I know of on the West Coast. There's another one in Massachusetts. Of course, there's the one in the village. It's hard to do because not everybody has a big enough community. Deaf people step forward and say, yes, I'll pray silently for an hour. So I'd like to invite all of you to begin with to hold that date and sign up for an hour of silent prayer and meditation. There are no prayer police. Nobody will come into the sanctuary and ask how you're praying or for whom you're praying or any of those things. You just need to be here and hold sacred space, and we need people to do that for 24 hours. Okay, so that's World Day of Prayer. The other thing we have going on, and as Tim mentioned today, is we have our Loving Kindness Initiative. And we've just had our 3 leaders step back after a decade of service. Loving Kindness Initiative provides rides to people, cooks meals for people who are ill. They had a program for a bit to serve the homeless. That was part of the Interfaith Council. That part is over, but we will find something else to do along those lines. They run Circulation Day. How many people here went to Circulation Day? Anybody here wearing anything they picked up at Circulation Day? Ah, see, we had somebody right there. Loving Kindness Initiative puts on Circulation Day every April. They distribute the Daily Word. There's a whole list of things they do. So if you are interested in Loving Kindness Initiative, or you're interested in World Day of Prayer, you're going to get a handout, and it's got my email at the bottom. So, should have told you you didn't have to take notes. If I give you the handout now, thank you, Tim, you won't listen to what I'm saying, so you don't get it till I'm done. But you don't have to take notes. We also have a prayer shawl ministry in which we create prayer shawls. You may have seen the one that we gave to Tim during his first couple of weeks. And we have a loving kindness prayer circle. When you fill out your prayer slips, they all go into that box, and then people anonymously and silently pray over them, and that is open to everyone. There are a couple of other things we do with the prayer ministry that you need some special training to be in. We have spiritual counselors who provide the kind of counseling you would get if you went to somebody who was a social worker or a psychologist, but they are members of our church and they provide it with a spiritual perspective. How many people here have seen our prayer chaplains stand up against the wall after every service? Okay, that's something that comes later on in membership if you feel that call. We have a grief support circle. We have retreats, we have community prayer, we have all kinds of things. So there are many, many ways to get involved with the original premise of our whole unity movement, which is prayer. Do you have any questions for me? You look like you have a question. I'm glad you asked that question because that tells me I didn't explain it very well. And her question was, does somebody have to come in here and spend 24 hours in the sanctuary? And the short answer is no. Yes, but, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to explain that. So at 9 o'clock at night, when the 2-hour service ends, let's say Wendy and Melanie have signed up for the 9 o'clock slot, because we always have to have at least 2 people. That's my rule, anyway. Nobody's alone on campus. And then at 10 o'clock, perhaps, they could have the next 2 people come in. And then 2 other people will come from 11 to 12. If you want to stay longer than 11 to 12 and you'd like to be here from 11 to 1, that's just fine. If you'd like to come in before you go to work in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, that's, for some reason, that's always a hard slot to fill. But no, you only commit for an hour. You may stay longer if you like. The only caveat is that you spend it praying, and you can pray for people, you can pray for world peace, you can pray for whatever moves you. And it's silent. Good question. Another one. Do we have another question? Hi, Gloria.
Yeah, and I was wondering, is the echo?
I know.
Is the labyrinth part of this too?
Yes, the labyrinth will be here for the 2-hour service, and walking the labyrinth at that time will be part of the service. And then after the service is over, you may walk the labyrinth at your leisure. Anybody can. Thank you for bringing that up. And will you be participating with your bowls this year? Okay, great. I'm looking forward to it. The labyrinth will be inside in the sanctuary, and it will be here for the full 24 hours. So you can drop in at any point. That can be part of your prayer or your meditation, a walking meditation, a walking prayer.
Is there a sign-up schedule?
I'm glad you asked that. Email me. My email's at the bottom of the handout that I promise you will get. And right now, every single slot in that 24 hours is open. And it's first come, first served. Hey, Wendy.
And are we still going to do like the hands-on and the people who want spoken prayer also that we did before?
Yes, thank you. At the Wednesday night service, there will be hands-on prayer from the prayer chaplains and spoken prayer from the prayer chaplains as well. Thanks for reminding me.
It's only that one night?
Hear you on live streaming. Go ahead. Go ahead. Just speak into it.
It's only for one
It
night?
begins this year it begins on the 11th of September, Wednesday night at 7:15, and the service will go until about 9 o'clock. And then the vigil begins, the silent prayer vigil begins at 9 and goes until 7 p.m. the next night. And that's once every year.
Wait, please wait for the microphone because we're live streaming.
Okay. There's only 2 churches you know of that do this, or is it worldwide?
It's a worldwide day of prayer. The ones that I know about in the United States that have the full-on 24-hour vigil are the Village that created it, a church in Massachusetts. I've contacted every church I can think of in the Bay Area, and I can't find anybody else that does the full 24 hours. Some people do a few hours during the day, especially if they're in a big city and people work and come there, I guess, on their lunch hours. Some people just do a Wednesday night service. We're the only ones I know of that do the whole 24 hours.
Right. Most Unity churches have the World Day of Prayer, but not necessarily to this degree. And I think it's wonderful that we do. Thank you.
But I can't do it by myself.
Right. Any other questions? Yes?
Ina?
Is the church open 24 hours?
The church is open to everybody 24 hours. I would love to see this become a part of a wider community. And we do get community members, people who have never been at Unity in Marin before, just come by for the vigil. That's why I want 2 people here, always. And at night, we lock the doors, so if somebody wants to come in, they have to knock. And I asked the police to come by, and we've never had any issue.
Oh, you also mentioned a loving kindness circle and something about being able to pray for people even if you're not a chaplain. So I just want a bit more clarity on that, please.
Sure. The Loving Kindness Initiative actually puts their money where their mouth is. I'm sure they pray as they do these things, but they're the ones that provide rides and meals and distribute daily word. And then the silent prayer circle is the people who take those slips from the box and pray on them for 30 days before sending them to Silent Unity. And, no, you don't have to be a prayer chaplain to participate in the silent prayer circle. You guys have good questions.
Yeah. Any other questions? Let's give Chris a hand. Thank you. Thanks. She leads a lot of things here. Thank you for coming.
Oh, but wait, we have handouts.
Oh, there's more. There are handouts. And as you're handing those out, I want to do something with the board members that they had no clue I was going to do. So we have 3 board members here, I think right now. Linda needed to leave. And so if Robert, Sam, and Pamela, if you could come up to the front. Yeah, they're thinking, oh, great. What's he going to do? That's exactly what you're wondering. Right. Just real quickly, what is your favorite thing about being on the Unity and Marin board?
The people that I'm working with.
Oh, the people you're working with. Robert?
Oh, my goodness. I love you all. And it is just beautiful. And of course, the good work that we're doing to support the movement. Yeah.
Beautiful. Sam?
I would echo Robert about loving the people on the board. And it's so wonderful because we are spirit-based.
Yes.
If we're having disagreement, perhaps, take it to prayer, and there's always an answer. So I love that. It's really awesome.
Let's give them a hand. Thank you. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah,
Let's see. How about this?
I want to echo what Sam said, that the idea that we can come together in prayer. I mean, we're very business-oriented. Many of us are, professionals in different ways. But the fact that we can actually drop into prayer is fantastic.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Pamela. So wonderful group. And there's various kinds of committees. There's various types of, what would I call them? Teams that have specific a specific focus to accomplish something, like, the garden around the playground area. And I also want to mention, we do have a school here. So if you don't know that, there's a school here. It's the Hamilton Montessori School, and it was started about a year ago, I believe, and it's doing very well. We have a number of students. It's really going very well. And Sarah, who is one of our board members, has been like the project manager to get that school up and running. Cindy, who is here in the second service and is our choir director, has been the overall head for the school. We now have a person who has been made the director of the school, and we have wonderful teachers. So every day I get to see the kids come back and forth by my office, and I get to wave at them. And many times they say, "Hi, Reverend Tim. Hi, Reverend Tim. Look, I got new shoes," or whatever. So yeah, just wonderful kids who are learning early on about being wonderful people and about others being wonderful people and learning to live into that. So that's very amazing. So Chris was sharing some of the opportunities here. There are other opportunities as well. Ushers, and we also have, what are we pointing at? Oh, the flower team. The flower team, which Pamela is involved in the flower team. Do you head the flower team? You do. And so flower team is something that rotates on an ongoing basis. There are also weavers, what we call weavers. We haven't talked a lot about the weavers. They're kind of like underground. They're doing their magic while everyone is like, "Oh, look at that. That person is being, like a new person, is welcomed by somebody who not only welcomes them, but it's like, "Oh, let me introduce you to somebody," or, "Oh, let me show you where the hub is." And so the weavers kind of take on watching out for these folks, and if you will, sponsoring or being a friend to them and helping to weave them into the tapestry of this amazing spiritual community. Melanie is a weaver. Who else is a weaver? Just all the weavers, raise your hands. Okay, there's a number of weavers here. And Sherry has been the director, leader of the weavers, and it's been such a wonderful group to participate in. I believe in radical welcoming. And so we continue to up-level and look at ways that we can connect with new people. So we're now doing text in church, where people get text messages when they come for the first time, and they get emails, they get a letter from me, they get a postcard from me. They're like, wow, So we really want to connect, and that's one of our 3 core values: connect, grow, and serve. And I love that we're about connecting and building those connections. So I've told the weavers, and I need to tell the rest of the congregation this, that if you meet a new person, and if they would like to come and meet me, feel free, please, to bring them to the front of the line when I'm greeting people. So if any of you are ever in line and you see someone being escorted up to the front, you might think, well, what made them so special? It's because I want to make sure that we welcome and really greet and connect with those new people, because sometimes it can be very awkward. It can feel awkward and weird to be standing in a line for a long time to talk to the minister when you don't know anybody. I want everyone here to experience that connection. I'm very grateful for Unity. I'm grateful for all the ways in which it's enriched my life. And I want everyone else to have that same opportunity, to have their lives enriched and to connect. So I'm very grateful for the Weavers, for those on the welcoming team. Wendy is on the welcoming team. There's still a welcoming team. I'm sorry, let me get a microphone. All right, thank you. Barbara, yes.
I'm just saying the bookstore could use some help too.
Yeah, the bookstore. We have a bookstore. I'm sorry? Oh, that's okay. Well, yeah, why don't you? You know, but the bookstore can use some help. There are people who come and volunteer in our front office because there are times where it's very helpful to have people help us with bulletins or other things. I know a number of you. How many of you have ever volunteered in the front office? I know Wendy. Oh, okay, a number of people. And then the kitchen. Is that we're doing charades here? The kitchen, certainly. Lou Brown has done that for a long time. Brown, right, Lou? And so, you know, what Lou does and what the rest of the people who volunteer do are so helpful to create a welcoming environment out in the hub. What other volunteer opportunities? Prayer chaplains, prayer ministry, choir, yeah, gardening. Okay, so the choir, if you're interested in the choir, I know that there's a lot of Tuesday nights where Cindy, is it every Tuesday night? Every Tuesday night at what time? 7:15. Cindy is an excellent choir director. If you would like to be in the choir, they sing one Sunday a month at this point. Usually the fourth Sunday of the month. And let's see, gardening, lots of gardening things. We have a volunteer who does our meditation garden that's out back. That sometimes on lunchtime, I'll walk back there and pray and eat, and nobody knows where I am. It's like, no. And yeah, you do. And we have other garden areas, and let's see, what else did we mention as far as volunteer opportunities?
For some special volunteers, being on the spiritual counseling team, if one is licensed through the state as either a minister or a therapist, one can volunteer as a spiritual counselor. They serve the function of information and referral also. If someone's going through a serious health challenge, spiritual counselors are available to counsel and inform people about options and resources.
Good.
And all the chaplains, people may not know that they're entitled as a member to a monthly prayer call from a chaplain.
There you go.
Not just in the service, but and there is a helpline that they can call into the office, and a chaplain will call them back.
Right. Yeah, where was I at? Forget where I was at. And so one of the prayer chaplains called me. You know, I saw who was calling, and so I answered and called them by name. And she said, "Hi, Reverend Tim, I'm your prayer chaplain." And, you know, she thought maybe she'd just get a recording and just leave a prayer for me, which she's done before. But it's like, no, when I saw that you were calling, I wanted to do this live. And let me tell you what's going on in my life. And they hold that in confidentiality. they hold that in confidentiality. They don't go blabbing about it. And so I could talk with her about, just briefly share with her some of the things that she was going on. And then we moved into a time of prayer together. It's what I needed. I needed to move into that space. This is one of my other confessions. I sometimes when I need prayer, I don't ask for it. Because, I don't know, I think there's this thing that's like, oh, I know how to pray, I know how to do affirmations and denials, and sometimes I've been, I don't know what it is, hesitant to reach out to another. And so when I've reached out to prayer chaplains, when I've reached out to Silent Unity, did you all call Silent Unity? 1-800-NOW-PRAY. And when a prayer chaplain has called me, it's like, wow, why did I wait? So thank you. Thank you for doing that. Any other, where'd that microphone go? Oh, here we are. Thank you, Heather.
So to me, one that's very important is the Faith and Action team.
Yes, tell us about that, Maria.
So that is our, how convenient, that is our pledge program. And, it's just, remember that it's not a trickle down, like we get something from Unity Village. We support, it's us that supports this community. So, and truly in that giving and receiving, our monetary, not only just time and talent, but just monetarily how we can contribite to the church, and that is very important.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Because we have staff here, we have our payment on our building, which is a good deal. Our payment on this building, a little under $6,000 a month. And for this whole facility, considering that it was like a over $4 million project, pretty good deal. So we have the building and we have staff, like there's 2 office staff, Arabella and Lynn. I should have asked Arabella to come in. And there's Reverend Medora and myself. A lot of you have met Reverend Medora or know her. And, so she and I work together as a team. She's associate minister, I'm senior minister, but we work together as a team. So the org chart that continues to evolve, the reason I didn't put it up here is that it's in the process of evolving as we speak. But I tend to be in charge of the things like Sunday service and ushers and weavers will be coming under me. They were under Reverend Medora, but they'll be coming under me because I see that as all part of the Sunday service and the whole radical welcoming idea. And the prayer chaplains and the tech, because I have a vision about the audio-visual and all that. So there's a number of things that I'm working with, as well as doing spiritual counseling with people, as well as working with lots of committees and meetings. Reverend Medora is more like kind of the direct manager of operations and facility. So a lot of those day-to-day down and dirty details. And so if I were to use a corporate model, which at least as far as my paradigm, helps me to understand it better, I would be like the CEO. In Unity Worldwide Ministries, the senior minister is considered the CEO of the organization. Reverend Medora would be like the COO, the chief operating officer. So we work together as a team. Maybe that paradigm helps. Now, I haven't said that, because Reverend Medora and I have been working together and we've been arriving at this. And so, anyway, so when we give, and I believe in giving, there have been times where I've been part of organizations, and those organizations, unfortunately, didn't always follow good business practices. Now, we do. We follow very good business practices. But there are some organizations I've been a part of but I believed in the mission, I believed in what we were doing, so I gave. Because my giving is part of investing in that work, in that mission, in that vision. And so that's what we ask you to do. It's not something that, we want you to give so that I can buy a new car. It's more about, we want you to give towards the vision and the mission if you believe in it. And so it's one way to be involved. So we have faith in action. Thank you. And that was not staged. I didn't say to Maria, oh, by the way, bring this up and make it look spontaneous. It was spontaneous. And faith in action, there are those faith in action forms, or have your own personal plan of giving on a regular basis, investing in this community. We talk about tithing here. Tithe typically is defined as 10% of the gross income. Now, some people say, oh, I thought it was 10% of the net. You do whatever works for you. But tithing is a means for us to experience a spiritual principle called reciprocity. That as I receive, I give, and as I give, I receive. It's reciprocity. It's, Jesus talked about it, that, in the measure you give, you will receive. So if you believe in the mission of this community, and if it touches you, this is a good place to experience that principle of reciprocity, to invest in it. And so we ask that of all people, whether you're a member or not. You could be a love streamer. We ask all people to participate in that. So I give because I believe in a mission of a place. I also give because I know it opens my heart. Charles Fillmore, in his book Prosperity, said that there's no more effective means than the love offering to open one's heart and to get rid of the idea of lack. He saw it as a spiritual tool that we use for our own spiritual growth and benefit. And I absolutely believe in that. That's why I have no problem talking with people about giving, because it's a spiritual process. I'm not trying to talk you out of your money. I'm trying to educate people in knowing that as we give, we receive, and we invest in this fertile field of potentiality, that we are actually growing and expanding spiritually as we do so, So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Maria. And let's see, Sherry, you have a mic.
Well, back to volunteer opportunities, there's another one called I Am Available, and Maddie's just coming in the door right now, and she's in charge of that list. We have some amazing speakers that come here, like Marianne Williamson has come, and we have once a month near-death experiences events. So anytime when we have an event where people have to pay at the door, we need volunteers to help take that money. And then, of course, you get into the event for free. So you can sign up for that at the hub, like many of the other opportunities. Just talk to Maddie or whoever's at the hub.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. I saw a hand. Yeah, Pamela? Yes.
We have a newly formed facilities team that meets every other Tuesday at 3:30 in the Bride's Room, and we discuss the projects that need to be done here at the facility and repairs that need to be made and how we can fund that. And what the board is really hoping to create is a fundraising team. We spend a lot of our time as a board trying to find the funds to pay for all of the programs here. And we would love to kind of find a team within the community that would want to take that on. So
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Did I see another hand? Or did I just imagine that? Okay. So, lots of ways in which we can volunteer. And I'd just like to ask all of us, and this is something for all of us to do, is to hold a high consciousness for this spiritual community. A consciousness of prosperity, a consciousness of abundance, a consciousness of involvement, a consciousness of spiritual evolution and unfoldment. We're all in this together. There's really no observers. We're all in the same boat. When I was in Wichita North High School, has a unique program because there's a big river right beside the high school. And so we would have canoeing classes. And so I took lots of canoeing classes, and once in a while, I'd get someone in the canoe that just wanted to sit there and enjoy the view but wouldn't paddle. And eventually I would tell them, you know, we're in the same boat. You need to paddle too. And there's joy in doing that. There's joy in working together. And so we all need to paddle together. Now, once in a while, I'd also have canoe mates that would want to paddle in the opposite direction. So, it's about all working together as a team. Now, Maddie has joined us, and I don't know if you want to say anything about your area of service or any volunteer opportunities here or your involvement here. Quickly?
I guess. You know, we really need some seasoned members of the congregation to work in the hub, because it's really hard to do it all day, every Sunday of the year. And so we do need folks who have been around long enough to know how the organization operates and have a real positive, you know, trying to pull them in attitude when you're explaining about the different activities that we're offering at that table. And it's a wealth of opportunities. If anything, people are a little overwhelmed when they come to the table. So I'm looking for some folks who are willing to do that just after one service, at least, you know, once a month or once every 6 weeks. You know, just so that, and I would be there till folks are comfortable with the operation. And sometimes some of the other members of our program steering team that put that hub together come in and help. So if we've got big activities going, like what I'm working on right now is the fall book study. Many of you have been through that. It's a huge project. We work on it for months, and when we're doing the sign-ups, we're flooded with people and questions. So, you know, looking for people for that kind of thing. You know, I also do the I am available, which means I'm available to volunteer for whatever need comes up. Usually that's the programs or the events in the evenings, sometimes on the weekend. But you know, when we have these Sunday afternoon workshops, when we have guest speakers come in, which Reverend Tim did 4 years ago when he was here. He did, in fact, I was the only one available to help him that day. it's just signing people in, taking the fee or getting them on a mailing list or whatever the instructor of the workshop wants you to do. And the bonus for the volunteers is that they get to attend whatever the event is for free. They don't have to pay the fee that's being charged at the door or whatever. And again, we don't ask people to go into this totally unprepared. I'm available to train, just to be there with you and go through things. And it's a heck of a lot of fun, and you get to meet people, not just people from this community that you've never spoken to before, but you get to meet people who are coming here to Unity in Marin for the first time, or they might come every month for the near-death experience talk or whatever. So it's really a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, near-death experience. I mean, we have lots of different educational opportunities that we advertise and talk about. And you mentioned the book study. It starts in September. September what? You just figured it out. September 15th. It's 7 weeks, and it'll meet in different homes, different locations, because part of the idea is small groups have a way for people to interact, go deeper into a topic, look at how we apply this in our lives. And that's also part of the idea of the tables of 8. I'm at each one of those tables of 8 as we're getting to know each other. I find out what it is that brought them to Unity, or I find out what it is they're envisioning for Unity in Marin. And it's a great time for us to connect in a smaller group. And that's a very important way, I think, for people to get to know each other, because Sunday morning, sometimes there can be lots of activity, but when there's some of those specialized small groups, it can be a really good way to connect with others. And I've met so many wonderful people and learned so much through those small groups, the Table of 8. And when I've led book studies in the past, that's always been a great time to connect. So when can they sign up for the book studies?
We'll probably start doing sign-ups, I would say probably the second week of August. But we have to get the facilitators first, the people who are going to lead the groups and commit to having the groups in their home. So I'll be starting recruitment for those the beginning of July. And I really encourage folks to think about it, because you're not having to make dinner or something like that for them to come into your home. It's really to sit and discuss, and we're hoping to have a multi-experiential component to the book studies, not just sitting and reading passages from the book, but we're looking to take it several steps further, which I've been trying to get that point across for years now, so here we go.
Yes, Reverend Medor and I have been talking and collaborating and scheming and conspiring about that. So, yes, Gloria.
I just want to be testimony for one of the book study, because it's not guaranteed, but often you'll be in a group with a book study, and it'll evolve into getting together with the same group of people for months.
Many times.
Our group became the Go-Go Gals for about a year. So
I can see why. And part of the thing is, if you're a new person here, you may not know how to get involved. I intentionally go places to be the new person, to see what would it be like to try to get involved, when I go to a new place. I often won't tell them what I do for a living or who I am. I want them to do their stuff, how they do it. And some places do it amazingly well, and some places do really poorly. to me, each and every one of us is an important aspect and asset to the spiritual community, because you bring a personal perspective, life experience that enhances all of us. That enhances all of us. Every single one of you are needed. One of these churches that I went to as a brand new person, and it was a very conservative evangelical church, but the minister got up there and said something I've never heard expressed quite that way before. He basically said, I cannot fully serve God. I'm like, I haven't heard an evangelical minister say that before. And he told his congregation, I can't without you showing up to do your part in this service. I thought, wow, that's kind of radical. He actually sees it as such that he and the spiritual community could not be all that they need to be without each person showing up to be who they are and their skills and their gifts. It was the first time I heard it put this way. And he pointed out into the congregation and he said, we need you. I need you. And he said it in a way that I knew he meant it, and I heard it. And I thought, geez, if I wasn't a Unity minister, I'd probably just jump right in here. Thought about it anyway. Because it expresses the truth of what we believe in Unity. That we're all here for each other. We're all one. And so we want people to know how they can get involved. We want people to know how they can connect and get involved in these groups. That's why I wanted different people to express these opportunities. Because church is not just about observing. It's about getting involved, and that's how we really get to know each other. And that's one of the ways in which we ourselves really grow and expand. So we've talked about the organization. In those of you who got the handouts before, there is a chronology on one page that talks about the history of Unity in Marin. And if I've counted correctly, okay, so it was Candida Wright, then Richard Manti, right? And then after Richard Manti was Bill Engelhardt, and then there's me. And how many years? What was the year that it started? November. 55 years. Oh my goodness, I wish I had known that. We would have done some sort of 55-year anniversary thing.
This November.
Right, I wish I had known that so we'd do a 55-year anniversary thing. We will? Yes? Right, so are we doing a special anniversary thing?
We need a committee for that now. We need a committee.
I didn't know it's our 55th year anniversary. And see, here's something that speaks volumes. And I've told this to different church people. I've told it to ministers. I didn't know the exact number of years. I said 53 or 54, but I've told them that in all of this time, they've only previously had 3 different ministers. Without exception, people have gone, what? Are you kidding? You know? And I love you all in Hawaii. But when I went there, you know, the music director at that time had been there 27 years. I walked into the office. She pointed her finger at me and said, "You're my 11th." Yeah? It's like, are you saying what I think you're saying? It says a lot about a spiritual community that I'm only your 4th minister. Now, Reverend Medora Gordon, who just stepped in, hello, and that I was talking about earlier, and you missed it. No, you don't. I bragged about you. But Reverend Medora Gordon was the acting minister, interim minister, for this period of transition after Reverend Bill left and then my coming. And as I mentioned in the morning services, Reverend Medora was my mentor going through the field licensing program. She was the one that, in our first meeting together in a car, said to me, "I know that you know the unity principles, but you don't know as much as you think you know." Am I right? Yes. Okay. And she said, by the time I'm done with you, these principles will be second nature to you. You won't even have to think about them because they will be so much a part of you and so much part of who you are internally, it will just come out. I thought, wow, that sounds great. Sounds like I got the right mentor. And so we're part of a larger organization, as I've mentioned before. We're part of a larger organization. Reverend Medora is part of a team that helps to train ministers and support ministers as they are going through licensure and becoming ordained unity ministers. And that is part of Unity Worldwide Ministries. Unity Worldwide Ministries oversees over 600 ministries around the world, churches, learning centers. There's different national schools. I believe there's 7 Unity national schools in different areas of the world. So we're part of that, and I'm on the board for that. And I'm also the interim director for the International Advisory Council, working with the international ministry of the Unity movement, among other teams. And there's Unity Village, which some of you saw the video and things we talked about, Unity Village. Reverend Bill was on that board for Unity World Headquarters, Unity Village. So there's been these 2 organizations, both part of Unity. And we're now working on a project to make that all one. What a novel concept for unity. So we're working on that, and we'll be announcing things in our annual convention. Now, I've talked to a number of people here that have wondered, what annual convention? Most of the people here that I've talked to have said, what annual convention? Every year, yeah, that's what annual means, there is a convention in June. And it happens now every year in the Kansas City area. Unity Village is in the Kansas City area. Unity Village is its own municipality, has its own zip code, its own mayor, its own sheriff. Yeah. And so every year we meet in Kansas City for an international convention, Unity delegates come together from all over the world, meet together. We have wonderful workshops. We have a great time of fellowship together and renewing relationships, making new ones. It's like a big homecoming party. It really has a party atmosphere to it, like a family reunion, a good family reunion, whatever your experience may be. And we have a business meeting where we vote on things that affect the entire movement. So that, let's see, after the services on next Sunday, I'll be leading the services, but after the services, I'll be flying to Kansas City for the convention. And I'll meet back up with Olga Lucia, my wife, at the convention. And so I'm really looking forward to it. Olga Lucia is going to Miami Tuesday, and she's going to be staying with friends in Florida. And those friends have developed Spanish-speaking resources for Unity churches, whether or not they're Spanish-speaking churches, so that they can develop a Spanish-speaking ministry. So I'm going to be meeting with them about that. So it's a great time to connect and network. I just want you to know we're part of a larger movement. And I think this church beautifully exemplifies what our movement is about. So, Reverend Medora, I outed us. I outed us about the model that we are looking at in terms of our org chart, in terms of, at least from a corporate perspective, we may not use these terms, but that the senior minister is like CEO, Reverend Medora is like COO, and kind of unfolded that some. Because we've been talking about that and exploring that. So I really am so grateful to have the opportunity to work with Reverend Medora. Did you wish to say anything or share anything with us? I don't know if the camera can see you. You might want to come up there.
How about I come up there?
Yeah,
Hello.
maybe.
Hi, everybody. Wow, good to see you all. This is exciting. I've never done Unity Way of Life in this room. We always did it in Unity Hall. So, hello. Before we start on the structure here, I just wanted to say, do any of you have questions as to why there's a Unity Village on this side with its own board, and there's a Unity Worldwide Ministries on this side with its own board? That used to always come up. Do you wonder? No, you don't care. No, because it all started as one, because, you know, Myrtle and Charles started as a study group, and pretty soon what happened was that people wanted to have Sunday morning services. They wanted to have church. And the Unity movement didn't start out with that kind of structure. It started out as just a study group, and then they bought Unity Village, and, you know. So when they decided to start having church, that led to church. That led to ministers and places, and, well, maybe we'll sing songs, so then you had music ministry, and then all the things that you would think went with church. In the meantime, all the things that went with Unity Village stayed over here. And as with so often, they had growing pains, and they got into some differences of opinion, and it isn't ours to call whether that was right or wrong or otherwise. And finally, Unity Worldwide sort of said, well, fine, if that's the way you feel about it, we're going to go down the street and build our own building and have our own Unity Worldwide ministry with our own board and our own everything. We'll still be Unity, but you stay here at the village and we're going down the road. So they did that for years and years and years. And as long as I've been going to convention, which is since 2008, the people would all say, why aren't we all one? We're tired of this. We want to all be one. Let's all come back together. Why aren't we all at the village? Why is this? You know, time and tide and stuff changes. They didn't care whether people got their feelings hurt years ago or whatever. So there's this big push rising up from us to say, no, we're one. We're all going to come together. And there's huge pressure on the board. Tim didn't really show how much pressure, but there's big pressure to come back to be one, all one.
I just want to say that the board has really pushed for this. The Unity Worldwide Ministries has really pushed to bring about oneness. And regardless of how this happened, Unity Village, at that time it was the grandson of Charles Fillmore, basically stated, it's not ours to do. You all take care of the services, the ministries, and we'll do this stuff. And later, he stated that was the biggest mistake he ever made. But, you know, so we're just saying that this is something that we're working on, so there's like two different cultures that have developed, even though we're all part of the same movement. We're all part of the same movement. We all love each other and get along well with each other. Ken Daigle, who is the senior minister, is it called Unity of San Francisco or Unity of Golden Gate or Unity of San Francisco, is a friend of mine, and he is on the board of Unity Village. And so we now have joint board meetings, not joint, but...
A little of that too, actually. It's a very progressive group.
Some people are going, what?
I'm sort of livening it up. Never mind. Oh, no, Gloria.
And so it's about all, you know, so our boards are meeting together and working together to sort through all that. And so that's something that we'll be announcing and talking even more about at the convention in June.
So Tim's going to go to convention. I'm going to stay here and make sure that everybody stays on track.
There you go.
So I'm not going away.
There you go. And we have a question in the back. Ricardo, Heather, do you still have a mic?
Wait for the mic.
Yeah, we're live streaming, so I want people to hear.
It's not so much a question as it is a statement about the expansion of spirituality. About a couple years ago, over in Alameda, they started a whole process where they figured that the clergy need to be more involved in mental health and health in general. And down in Marin City, you know, we saw this as a kind of like a command, you know, a need, because 60% of the people who have problems, health problems, they go to the clergy first and whatnot. And we said, why not make the clergy part of the health system where they can have the physical health care taken care of, where the clergy can be used to do follow-up and treat it as a holistic complex. So, you know, I don't know if in Unity, if they looked at this discipline as being part of the spiritual, the spiritual world. But we're actively working on trying to get the clergy into this holistic system where you look at the spirituality, where you look at the physical health, the psychological well-being, and serve as a backup to any, you know, for practitioners who might be working on certain aspects of health care, spiritual care, and whatnot. So, you know, the holistic thing really appeals to me.
Good, thank you. I think it's very important for us to be holistic and work together with community resources and to find the needs in our community to work together.
And we are doing it here with our spiritual counselors in answer to your question. Roberto, the people may come to Tim and to me as their first line of where do I go? And sometimes we can resolve it easily, and sometimes it's a simple matter of, you know, sort of helping. But if it's very complicated and all. We can refer and do refer people to our spiritual counselors that are part of Unity in Marin, all of whom are licensed therapists in the state of California. So that all goes as part of the very deep belief that we do all have, that spirituality and psychology travel together on the same gene. You can't do one without the other. And that's one of the reasons that sometimes psychology without spirituality doesn't work. And if you do only spirituality and don't do any of the psychology, sometimes that gets a little out there too. So believe it, it travels like that. And we have to keep going. I'm not going to call on you because I just wanted to say that I really love the new structure that Tim outed to you today, which we haven't talked over with the board, but I'm pretty sure that they'll see it our way. And if they don't see it our way, they can, well, they'll see it our way. I'm just sure.
Well, there's
that
some
they'll
of
see it
them
our way.
here, you know.
And we really took a look at what each of us do best. And I love to keep the place running. Okay? I do. I love it. I could no more do what Tim did this morning than go to the moon. The way you do it, the way you say it, the way you, all of that. So we sat down and looked at his strengths, we looked at my strengths, and this is the pattern that we came up with that we thought would be more successful. And so I'm excited about it, and I know you are too, and it won't change your lives much, I don't think. Except, of course, there's my new office. That'll change your life.
Yes.
It's changing my life, I can tell you for a fact.
We're happy for you.
So,
yeah,
Go.
That's wonderful. And so all of those things, you know, the administrative details, the finances, I also oversee that and get informed on that by recognize that in the day-to-day operations, Medora is best at heading those kinds of things up so that I'm free to do a lot of those other things that I'm really interested in doing in expanding our ministry, marketing, our audiovisual tech staff. So anyway, social justice,
social action,
community involvement. So it's all, you know, it's about using our gifts and doing it in a way that best benefits Unity in Marin. Now, this has been kind of a brief overview of the ministry here at Unity in Marin, but I think it's better caught than taught. I think it's better to just catch it. I think it's contagious. When I came here 4 years ago in June, 4 years ago, this weekend, I came to Unity in Marin. You remember meeting at that time, Paulina? We've stayed in touch all this time. And I thought, I caught something. There's something contagious about this community. Something wonderfully contagious. A love, a collaboration, a compassion, an environment that helps people to grow and to unfold and feel safe in their journey, to be respected and heard. This is a wonderful, wonderful spiritual community. I'm very grateful to be a part of it, to be here. I'm very thankful. And I'm very thankful that you are here. You know, to re-emphasize what I was saying earlier, we need you. I need you. Each one of us is very, very important here. The gifts, the experience, the skills that you bring. We're all in this together, including you virtual love streamers. You are a part of this. In the past, you may have observed. You may have watched. I want you to know that you are part of us. We are part of you. We are in this together. You're part of this community. You may live in New Zealand, half a world away. You may be in Denmark with 11 or 12-hour time difference. Wherever you are part of this family. I want you to know that. I want you to know that you are loved. I want you to know that we want to be in connection with you, in communication with you. And if you want to consider membership, it is open to you. You can become a member. You can attend classes here virtually. You can virtually attend our town hall or our annual meeting. You can vote. You're part of us. So we invite you, as we have a membership form that we will be looking at. I don't know if this has been posted online yet. But it'll be essential for our love streamers to have access to that online so that you can become a member. If you've attended these 3 classes, and yes, I had questions from the first 2, so if you haven't filled those out, fill those out. That verifies you've been here. This 3rd one, and Connect, what we can have is just a question. Did you attend the 3rd session? And that would be the question, okay? 2 thumbs up. You gotta go.
I gotta go.
You have a memorial service
I
to
have
do.
a memorial service up in the
And
garden.
so some of you
It's
may,
at 3. So
some of you may be going to the memorial service, but
they don't have to go till 3. I just have to go
right.
and set up.
And thank you.
Is that it? No questions for me. I can.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
go now.
Because I'm on a roll here.
Go.
Yeah, all right. But we may need the microphone. But thank you. Let's give a hand to Reverend Medora. Thank you. So if you are interested in becoming a member, and if you've attended all 3 sessions, or if you haven't attended all 3 sessions, but you fully intend to catch up on the archived sessions, and we'll check back with you about that, this next Sunday. And I would recommend that, and I haven't talked with Reverend Medora about this. She's conferring. But I would recommend that the membership be in one service. I don't know how you do it. We hadn't talked about that. Yes, because it's next Sunday. You do both services.
We do the membership welcome at both services because that way the whole community gets to welcome the new members. It does mean the new members have to stay in.
So new members come to both services.
They do.
We
put it up front, so
Okay.
after the second service, they can sort of slip away, as long as they don't all do it at once.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Thank you.
Tiptoe gradually.
Thanks.
Besides, it's Father's Day, so you're going to want to be here anyway.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So both services next.
Yes, 9:15 next week.
9:30 and 11:15. Oh, 9:15 to be here. Yeah.
9:15. The rest of us have to be here at 8:30 for sound check. And we would like to have you here at 9:15 so we know where you're sitting
Okay.
and we're sure we've got your,
Information.
what are those things that we hand out? The
Yes.
diplomas,
Yeah.
the certificates, and, the things we do. We have a little thing we do, kind of.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you. So both services. Any questions about that? Now, wait, before questions, let me say, okay, because sometimes people wonder, why become a member? I can still attend, right? Yes, absolutely, and we want you to. Do I have to become a member? No, you don't have to become a member. well, what does membership entail? What does it mean? Well, membership means that you are taking a stepping up into being even more a presence here in this church, involved here in this church. There is a form that Sam is distributing now. If any of you want this form that states basically what membership means, you just want to raise your hand? Okay, maybe we can just give it to the people whose hands are raised first. Yeah, Sam is like, great. He changed up on me. But let's first get it to all the people who are really wanting to look at this. So all the raised hands. Okay. Because this paper helps. Could I have one as well, Sam? So this paper helps to define and describe what membership here means. And I'll just read this. So whether you've gotten one yet, and everybody can have one. I just want to make sure, okay, right here. So I want everyone to know what it is that we're asking of you. So it says, Unity in Marin is a Christ-guided, now by Christ, we mean that inner divine presence, Christ-guided spiritual community dedicated to kindling the spark of divinity in every heart. I would say it's more than a spark. But anyway, it is our mission to welcome all who seek a closer relationship with God. And I had the opportunity to look this over in advance, but I just realized, oh yeah, spark. Anyway. A raging fire of divinity in every heart. Unity is a present tense approach to the teachings of Jesus Christ. Rather than being a system of worship, unity is a way of life. Now, I would say worship is involved, but it's a daily life. It's a daily lifestyle. The most important requirement for unity membership is a desire to know God, or I would say to know yourself as a divine presence, and to understand and follow divine laws of being. Upon joining, you become a voting member of an independent nonprofit corporation, which is a member of Unity Worldwide Ministries and is affiliated with Unity World Headquarters at Unity Village. Unity in Marin is self-governed by trustees elected from the membership at annual meetings. So we heard from some of the board members. The Board of Trustees conducts the business affairs of the ministry in accordance with the membership ratified bylaws and in cooperation with the ministers who are the spiritual and administrative leaders of the ministry. I desire to become a member of Unity in Marin and accept the voting rights and other powers of membership as stated in the bylaws. I will endeavor to live in accordance with the Jesus Christ principles of love and truth as taught by Unity. So what this is basically stating, I remember when I came to Unity, and I was an ordained Nazarene minister. But after being there a while, I just felt this sense that I wanted to connect more fully. I so believed in the message. I so believed in the teaching. I so believed in the culture and the feel of Unity. I thought, I want to be a part of it in a more tangible way. I want to be a member of it because it felt incongruent. This is for me. Speaking for myself, it felt incongruent, and for me, actually a bit, this isn't talking about you, it's about me. It felt a bit out of integrity to believe so strongly in something and yet be afraid to commit to it. That's just the way I am. And, so after going there for a couple of years and reading and delving into the materials and learning what I could, I went up to the senior minister and I said, I'd like to become a member of the church. And he was like, oh, great, and they didn't make it difficult, and in those days they didn't even have classes. But basically, I was asked in that we had membership cards if I was willing to commit to ongoing spiritual growth and to be a part of that community in developing that spiritual growth. I'm like, yeah. And so we had a service like we will have in both services next Sunday, where they had us come up to the front and they had the congregation extend their hands out to us. And, the minister said a few things. I don't even remember what all he said. But what I do remember was the feel. That I absolutely knew that congregation loved me. That I absolutely knew that I was a part of them. If that's how you feel, if that's what your commitment is, if you wish to be more involved, if you wish to step up into that, I invite you to become a member. And so, what I would recommend is that if you wish to become a member, to go ahead and fill that out. And some of you may already be members and you want to just officially re-up. You've been taking the classes and you wish to recommit. That's not a requirement, but you may wish to do that. I really want you to prayerfully consider that. To me, it's a very spiritual decision. Now, at that time, at that Unity Church, they laminated the membership card. And so as a Nazarene minister, I became a card-carrying Unity member. And I've kept that card all these years. There were years where I went away from Unity a while. I always kept the card. Always kept my membership certificate. And I've wondered, why did I keep it? Because I knew that was family. Sometimes, have you ever had a spat in your family? A little tiff? But they're still family. And I came back. To me, this is a real, real important connection. Now, we will be receiving love offering. I see Sam with the love offering basket. But Sam, do we need to meet with prospective ministers? That was an interesting Freudian slip. Wow. Do we need to meet with prospective members?
No, I don't think so. If you fill out your form, then we really know what you want. And I would encourage you with a short prayer to fill it out today and hand it in, because we make certificates and we plan based on how many are going to become members. Same for those who wish to be recognized as renewing members. We need the form. If you are not ready today to make that commitment, okay, sorry.
All right, this is
There's
where
more
I jump
instruction.
in. This is where I jump in. Now, I want you to do what you feel is right for you. Now, if you don't know at this time, then, we'll need that soon. We'll probably need that by Tuesday, maybe the latest Wednesday. But I'm encouraging you to do what you now know is right for you. See, there's really no downside to becoming a member. That's the funny thing about this. There's no downside to it. But it is a step. It's a step of commitment. I've done a lot of weddings, hundreds. And one time I was doing a wedding for a couple that had been together, I think, 14 years. They had 3 children. And on the wedding day, they were shaking and as nervous as they could be. It wasn't about being together that made them nervous. It was making a commitment. They had been there through a lot of things together. But to formally make a commitment of saying, I'm willing to step up into this. I'm willing to declare this. To me, that's how I think of this. It's a step of faith, which we are all here to support you in that. So, yeah, fill those out if you're interested in becoming a member. Pamela, you have a question.
I just wanted to share when I became a member in 2000, I cried through the entire ceremony.
Of folks do.
It was just, and I had been and still am in another spiritual community, but there was something so incredibly touching and deeply moving about becoming a member.
Thank you.
Here I am on the board.
And you brought up an interesting point, which I forgot to bring up. And normally I do bring it up. Unity is so open-ended in its spiritual approach that you do not have to give up other affiliations in order to become a member. Becoming a member of Unity doesn't mean that you give up being Catholic, or that you give up being Jewish, or that you give up being involved in the secret order of the minutia, whatever. You can still do that. You know, when I was going to Unity, I mean, there were people who would go to Mass and then they would come to the Unity Church. So, we're here to affirm your spiritual journey. You know, it doesn't have to be exclusive. It's about believing in what we're here to do. Okay? Sam, did you have other things to say? Sorry. You got it? Okay. So, you're going to fill those out, turn them in. Pamela's holding up a Unity magazine. I don't know. Okay.
Just want all of us know about the Daily Word, I'm sure, and it's meant so much to each of us. But this is a magazine that is also available through Unity. And you mentioned the New Zealand love streamers.
Yes.
There's an article in here about the jump time that we are in right now at Dawson Church. And in New Zealand in 1893, they were the first country to allow women to have the vote.
That's wonderful. Awesome. Thank you. Unity Magazine is a wonderful publication. Anyway, have you had a chance to fill that out? Let's have a time of prayer. While the bells are chiming, we take a deep breath. And we breathe into what is ours to do. We breathe into this magical, mystical, musical moment and experience the presence of God. We experience the presence, the peace that God is. Where is your heart calling you? What is the journey that you are on? Is unity part of that journey? By your being here, I would guess that it is. We allow the Christ Spirit, the divine presence, living within us to lead us, to guide us. Knowing that as we step into our truth and step into what is ours to do, the universe, Spirit upholds us, leads us. Wherever we are at, this spiritual community embraces us and loves us. Wherever we live, we are embraced. We are one. One presence, one power, one God who lives in, through, and as all of us. And for this, we give thanks. We give thanks for all of those here, whether virtually or physically present. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for coming. If you do have those sheets, they can put them in the offering plate, yeah? And we're going to receive a love offering. If you wish to leave a love offering, but you could also put those sheets into the offering plate. So, thank you so much for coming. And if you have further questions, feel free to let me know. And you love streamers, were there any questions that came in? None that you know of. But you can always connect with us later and let us know. Thank you.